This is episode 236 of the Fearless Launching Show. Today, we're talking about community and the power of gathering together to share experiences, to spark connections, and to really transform our perspectives on our business and the world around us. Now, that sounds like a lot. That's a mouthful right there. But really, this happens when people come together. And in this kind of season that I've been experiencing of co-working spaces popping up everywhere, not just the big cities like Los Angeles or New York or whatever, Seattle, or like the hubs in the United States or abroad, there's also a different kind of gathering that's happening, a different type of co-working that's happening and co-experiencing. And the founders of an app called Quilt are my guests today. I'm so excited because Ashley and Gianna are both so inspiring. Gianna is with us today to talk about the formation of Quilt and what it's all about, how you can get involved. And I just think you're going to be blown away by the practical applications this is going to have in your business, especially as we crave more and more in-person, hands-on, high-touch experiences. But perhaps we don't have the ability to fly to different cities or go to the high-cost events and retreats and things like that. This is a way to bring the gatherings into your own home, the co-gathering, the co-experiencing together. And it's really so that women can create purpose-driven discussions, hold interviews, share workshops, do some co-working if that happens. But it's really, Quilt is pretty amazing. And I can't wait for you to hear Gianna really share what it's all about. And I am going to challenge you not to want to get involved in this, because the second I heard her describe this, I was just blown away. And I could really see this becoming a thing, especially for members of this Fearless Launching community. I know you guys, and I know you are looking for impact in your lives, and you're looking to make impact in your clients' lives and your students' lives. And if there's one way you can do that, it's finding a way to connect with them on that deeper level. So let's dive in. Let's talk about the creation of this app and why it was created in the first place, why it's so important right now, even if you've got an online business, and how to use it, how to get started. All right, I'll talk to you on the inside. Hi, I'm Ann Samoylov, and I've helped some of the biggest online entrepreneurs and business owners have successful 6- and 7-figure product launches by working in the trenches offline to produce movies, TV shows, video games. I've discovered so many different ways to launch creative ideas. And the question is, do you have to copy what your guru says in order to have a successful launch? Do you have to use their done-for-you system in order to have success, in order to achieve your goals in business? I say no. This is the Fearless Launching Show featuring myself and an ongoing cast of characters, friends who join me in discussing business, launching, life, and balancing it all and having an amazing time doing it. Let's get into today's episode. Gianna, thank you so much for joining me today. I am really excited. I'm really curious. I'm wondering where this conversation is going to go today. And I'm wondering if this is going to be something that I'm going to want to utilize. So I'm going to just let you take it away, share with me like what your company is and what you're doing, what you're building, or what you have built.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I'm happy to be chatting with you too. And I hope that by the end of this, it's something that you also want to partake in.
I've already told a few people about it, by the way, that I'm like, I think you might want to check this out. I have this feeling that this could be for you.
Oh, that's the greatest compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you haven't even experienced the magic of what Quilt is yet. So that says something.
I haven't, but I can see all the possibilities. So So tell us about Quilt and how it got started.
Great. So what is Quilt? So Quilt today is a conversation platform for women, and we're powered by technology. So what that means in practicality is that women are opening up their homes to other women for meaningful conversations. And it's that simple. I think we often make things feel so complex, but really women have been gathering since the beginning of time to have conversations, hence why we're called Quilt. It's a metaphor. The first quilt was created in, I think, 1347 in Sicily, and it was always a reason to gather, right? And around that quilt, women would be having conversations about life and relationships and profession and challenges. And so that's what we've done. We just, there isn't quilting at the center. It's just the conversation. So we've built a mobile application that makes it really easy for to go into another woman's home. And we have topics that range from desire, leadership, power, money, imagination, and everything in between. So there's an entire library of topics that our hosts can choose from. And then up to 8 women book to go into that woman's home for an hour-long conversation. The mobile app is amazing because if you've downloaded it prior to attending, then you walk out of there immediately connected to all of the women that you've met in real life. But that's the important ingredient, is that you have to come together first in real life before you can be connected online. So it's actually kind of the inverse of what we experience today, where you've got 1,000 connections on LinkedIn or Facebook, but you've never actually met these people in real life. So that's, yeah,
so
right.
True.
So that's the way that the technology functions and what it looks like to go into another woman's home. We started this, a couple of years ago. Ashley and I met through my first business, which was called One Roof. And I started that when I was living in Melbourne, Australia. And the idea there was to convert homes into community and co-working spaces for women. I was working as a digital strategist for big advertising agencies, which I really enjoyed because I love problem solving. That said, I got pretty sick of coming up with another strategy to sell another pink lipstick for L'Oreal. And it's like, I mean, do we really care? I certainly didn't. So, looking around in this advertising agency, which was a seemingly creative space, there's fake grass and massive Jenga and a keg of beer. But you look around and at the end of the day, it's still a commercial space. So, gray carpet, fluorescent lights. And I started doing some research on when offices were invented and, by men 200 years ago. And I said, wow, why has this not been reinvented? And it was kind of at the beginning of co-working. I think the spaces that we gather and matter, wood holds energy. So why are we just now putting people inside commercial spaces that are equally as cold with no history? And expecting something new to come from them. So that's why we started creating co-working community spaces out of homes. So I started that in Melbourne, brought it to LA, and did that for about 18 months. And through that community, because it was a pretty significant community of women, Ashley and I were put in touch on a text message, a Facebook message, an email, and we're like, all right, finally, I guess we have to meet. I don't know what about, but let's see, right? And she had just moved from New York and was on the founding team of a company called Noya House, which was kind of like Soho House meets WeWork. So this like luxury co-working space. And, she was getting pretty tired of building community for the top 1%. And so when her and I met and my fire and drive to build community for women, which is something that's been inside of me for a very long time. And I started offline first and always wanted to build a piece of technology to support what we were doing. But coming from a digital background, I think people tend to go there first, but it's an equally as competitive space. And I really wanted to listen to the community before we built out a piece of technology just for the sake of building it, thinking that it's easier because nothing's easy. So we came together, and then, essentially Quilt was born because we were like, well, why are we taking ownership over a singular space that's only accessible by, a certain number of women geographically and who can afford it? Why aren't we empowering women to open up their own homes to other women? So I'll pause now because I've said a lot.
It's really exciting. I mean, you said a lot there that just kind of, I was thinking about the whole idea of like wood holds energy. And I think about a couple of years ago, I discovered WeWork. Okay. So WeWork obviously knows about this element of making, because their spaces are really highly designed. They're different in different locations, but there is that aspect of that homey kind of cool feeling or whatever, but it doesn't take it to the community building. I mean, unless you are a natural extrovert and are just, walking around talking to people. Most people just go their heads down and are working and aren't really as far as my experience there, they weren't really talking to each other unless they came in with
Totally. And I
each
mean, and
other.
that's the biggest misconception, right? Co-working isn't about a place to work. It's about community. And I think that that's, probably where a lot of these brands have missed the mark. It's not just about putting people in a space, but it's what connects them. So yeah, you're
Yeah,
tuning into something that
for
we
sure.
also feel.
You know what? So yesterday, this is really interesting. Yesterday, I was just like, I work from
Mm,
my home and it's fine, but there are days when I'm like, I need to be in a different space. And so I go out and I swear to you, I didn't find that space. I just didn't find that place that I was kind of fitting my energy
mm,
for the day. And I think that that is a common kind of feeling. So I don't know if like the groups that kind of come together, I did see you have
mm.
hosts and then you have like these events. Some of them seem like they were kind of event-ish, but are there some where it's like, hey, come over and work for there's a 4 hour work block. I just want to be around people
Yeah,
and work
totally. So
with
you're
them.
tuning into something.
How does
Yeah,
that
we
work?
did actually launch with co-working because that was sort of my background and Ashley's as well. So when we launched Quilt, it was originally centered around co-working. So women opening up their homes to other women to come and co-work, right? And we were focused on freelancers and entrepreneurs, women who are working from home. And we did that. It was incorporated into our offering along with a couple of other gathering types for about 18 months until recently, until a couple of months ago, when we really decided to focus on conversation for the exact reason that you've already uncovered, which is yes, women want to come together and work, but co-working wasn't really about working. It was about the opportunity to come together and have a conversation and feel supported.
Yeah.
So what we were finding is that this chat product that we are now focused on is exactly that. It is women coming together for a conversation and feeling that level of safety and the ability to share their feelings and also have fun in the process. So yeah, we did have
Yeah.
that, and it's something that certainly isn't gone from our minds. But for now, we're just hyper focused on the conversation.
Yeah, no, and I actually really appreciated that, and I immediately could see so many different ways that, and like a woman who is starting her business or, in the process of creating something new, there's so many applications of this, like of hosting a conversation, of being part of somebody else. I mean, I saw immediately like one or two things that were going to be happening soon in
Mm,
this area that I was just like, oh, that actually seems interesting. But I personally could see that because, like, one of the things I work with in people is like getting comfortable just actually speaking their message or talking about their product or talking about whatever that thing is that they're an
mm-hmm.
expert in. And I could see them like, hey, instead of hosting your online webinar, why don't you just host something
Yeah.
locally where you are, bring a bunch of people together and have it be a real
Mm,
thing,
yeah.
and connecting, and when you connect in person, I feel it has to start there, honestly. And I see so many people who are building these online empires and they
Yeah.
lose touch. And that has happened to me. That has happened to me over the years, off and on, where I had to kind of pull myself back, go completely high touch again, do like in person full day
Mm.
things with people because I just couldn't be so
Yeah, no,
disconnected.
I completely agree. We actually I'm going to be in New York next week and we're hosting what we call a house party. So, like I said, we're hyper focused on the chat, but we also have an offering for our members and for newbies called a house party, which is like, after you've turned, when you're over the age of 25 and you're no longer in school, how often and when do you go to a house party, right? So, where do you go to have fun, feel safe, and
Yeah.
share your feelings? So we're bringing back the house party and we're hosting them in LA, New York, and San Francisco every month. So I'll actually be in New York next week. And if you're free next Wednesday, I'd love to have you.
I'm here
Oh,
in
you're in
LA.
LA.
I'm in Los Angeles.
Ah, okay. So the
Yes.
invite said something about East Coast time. So I assume that you were in New York. But
Ah,
great. Well, we have one this
oh,
Friday
I
in
don't know.
LA. So
Maybe
if you're around, love to have you.
I
Okay.
will see. Like, also, I'm a single mom with a
Right.
daughter, so I'm pretty much
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing on Friday night.
I get it.
But you never know. There could be a sleepover, and that could possibly be arranged. But I definitely was like, oh, I can look at this, and I could even see. So I have a friend who's I don't want to give away like who the person is
Yeah.
necessarily if people are listening, but it's a fine artist that I know who lives locally, and she was thinking of having some sort of salon type of thing in her home where she could share her art. There would be, and it is very conversation based
Yeah.
art. And I was just like,
Yeah. I mean, she could host a chat on
this might,
on art,
yeah,
which I've
yeah,
hosted one on
yeah.
how we, I mean, as people, but how we continue to support our inner artist, in this day and age, because I think that we're all working and
Yeah.
we all have so much going on. So yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah. No, I just see so many
Mm.
applications of it, just like allowing someone to share like on something that's important
Mm.
to them and getting a conversation going around it. It has actually very practical
Yeah.
ties in with building
Yeah.
a
Well, imagine
business.
having a conversation on a topic like that and getting to know someone over the course of an hour before you're asking,
Yeah.
what do you do? Or talking about, our tag at the moment is less small talk, more real talk. So it's like,
Yeah.
the conversation on traffic and weather gets a little bit boring after a while. So now we're giving people an opportunity to talk about things
Yes.
that are more meaningful to them.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm
Mm.
curious, how do you, because you guys have to kind of like be the
Mm.
leaders, be the people, like you said, who are empowering the women to open up their homes like this. And I can, like, it made me me personally, a little anxious. I'm like, how would I, like, you almost can't get your head around it if you've been disconnected for a long time. But I'm curious how you go about encouraging and empowering women to
Yeah,
do
it's
this.
funny. I mean, when we first came up with the idea to decentralize what we had already created, we sent an email, I think, to roughly, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 women. So, a combined list from both Ashley and I. And we sent an email just kind of speaking to the idea, and we built a landing page on Squarespace. And we just said, who would be interested in doing this, with a bit of a form. And within 24 hours, we had a couple hundred entries. So what we found very early on is, women are natural hosts. And I think as human beings, we want to open up our homes and our spaces and our hearts to other people, but we've been told that it's unsafe, and there's this like level of anxiety or fear that's been instilled, but it's actually not natural to who we are. And this proved that, because all of these women, and still today, the hosting side of the business has always been very abundant. Women want to open up their homes to other women, and they keep raising their hands. So every time I host a chat, let's say I have 8 women in my home, 2 of them are walking away going, oh my God, I want to do this. I want to open my home. And then we
Yeah.
have a whole onboarding process to ensure the quality is there, and that they feel empowered and excited and they feel educated to then host this conversation. But again, we've written the discussion guide, so it really steps you through how to facilitate that conversation, because we are the community for the every woman, and you don't have to be a professional facilitator or teacher in order to open up your home.
That's really good to hear, because I was thinking, I'm like, I wonder if the hosts get any sort of education on how to kind of do
Yeah,
this
yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing.
There's an
So
onboarding
it sounds like
process.
you
Yeah.
do. So that's actually interesting. So really the empowering and encouraging process happens as a result of it just having people
Yeah,
attend.
exactly. Because they walk in, they're like, oh my gosh, this was so great. I could do this. I want to do this. So I think just by
Yeah.
the nature of experiencing it, it opens the possibility of them doing it themselves.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
amazing, because I know that they're like myself, I have that desire. I think that, and there's actually a few women in my community who do this around cooking, and they're
Mm.
like all about gathering people to the table, and they have in-home kind of things, or they always have had that kind of thing, and it actually feels really
Yeah, it's very
exciting to
natural,
me.
right? I mean, and that's why I say,
Yeah, that's exactly
yeah,
what I was
what we're
thinking. Yeah.
doing is not new. We've just built technology to make it more
Yeah.
accessible.
Yeah. So you said that then this is available in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New
Yeah,
York right
that's
now,
correct.
or
And we're
is it
testing a couple other cities: Chicago, Portland, Denver, are all on our radar by the end of the year.
Seattle?
Seattle, yeah, we've got quite a bit of interest. I mean, there's, I think, 5 cities that we have that we get emails from all over the world, from Paris and
Yeah.
Peru, and everywhere in between that, women find out about this and are just so excited by the simplicity and the accessibility. But yeah, right now, LA, New York, and San Francisco.
Yeah, I just like the simplicity of just going on and seeing what was happening in the next few weeks. I think that's what I
Yeah,
saw
great.
was like all the listings of those. Any like what do people have to do to like join and go to one of these chats? Like what do they have to
It's
do? They
so, I mean,
just
it's so easy.
book?
Yeah, I always say
Like,
just let your curiosity lead you. So yeah, you can either go online, so you can go to wearequilt.com, or you can download the mobile application, and you just find a gathering. So whether it's a chat or a house party that looks interesting to you, both by topic and the host, because all the hosts have bios, right? So you may click into something and maybe you're not as interested in speaking about desire, but you notice that, the woman has written in her bio that she's also a single mother, and you're like, God, I really would love to meet more single moms. This sounds great. And so then you literally just go online and book, very similarly to the way, even easier than Airbnb, for example. So you just create a profile and
yeah.
book.
And does it cost
Yeah, it
money to
does. So
attend
a
those
chat
events?
is $15. We try and make it really affordable. It's less than a one-off yoga class, and then a house party is $25. But if you're a member, house parties and chats are included in your membership and unlimited every month. And membership is, I think, $37 a month, or I think $247 for the year, or
That's
297 for the year.
exciting.
Yeah,
That's
something like that. Um,
this is actually really great if you're moving to a different
Yeah, we
community as
find that a
well.
lot. There've been
You
so many
know?
women that have moved from, and living in Los Angeles, it's a melting pot, right? So it's very rare that anyone's actually from Los Angeles, and so everyone's coming from somewhere else. So it's a beautiful
Yeah.
way to kind of enter a city and have community the moment that you land.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. It opens up those opportunities. I know a lot of women who probably would really
Mm,
love this because right now we're only meeting each other at at our kids'
right,
schools
right.
at a certain point, and then we like descend and we go away to our various,
Right, and
homes or
how
whatever.
amazing to have gathered with those women, beforehand or after in a different context, right? It's not in the school parking lot, and
Yeah,
we talk about that when we work with some corporations as well. It's like, how do we elevate the water cooler conversation? So that's something that we're starting
yeah.
to explore as well.
That's
Yeah.
exciting. That's really, really. I just feel like this is and something I've heard over and over again from different people that I've spoken to. Just about now, I talk to people who are business owners, but it's the people who are kind of doubling down on their community, on getting to know people at a personal level that are actually going to have whatever you want to call them, businesses or things that they're doing in the world that are going to be
Mm,
sustainable. And it's that personal touch that's going to make that
yeah.
possible. So I just love when something like this comes up. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Thank you.
What is what is your, what's something big besides, I mean, I guess you told me like that you're working on the app
Yeah.
right now, the chat app. Is that the big kind of push right now? Is that the big
Yeah. So
focus?
the mobile application launched in July, and we've had a couple thousand downloads, and people are very, very active on a daily basis, which is wonderful because we've built it so that it is being used often. So the mobile application has a couple of features that the website, or what we call the web app, does not, which is this connections feature that I mentioned. So when you book to go into a conversation or a house party, you could leave your phone in the car, because you know that all of the connections are going to be there in your own personal Rolodex because you've connected with them in real life, which is amazing.
Oh, that's
So you
amazing.
really do
Yeah.
have that security, and you can truly be present. There's a map view. You can message members individually, and so we're always releasing new features and things on the mobile application. But yeah, that is the focus, because we're going to continue building that out. And the focus is, or we're less focused on the web application at the moment. But you can still book and create a profile and do everything on the website, because we only have iOS at the moment.
Got it. So let me ask you, just because this is a
Hmm.
show where we usually talk about some sort of launching related thing, like what do you have ongoing things that you're doing to
Mm.
market Quilt? Are you doing ads? Are you doing like do you have any kind of list building things going on? Like what kind of little online things are you doing, if
Yeah.
any, or is this word of mouth
Yeah, I
or
mean, look, it's predominantly been word of mouth. We've been very blessed. We've had some incredible press as well, some organic press, New York Times and Fast Company, and those things have really supported us in building trust in the brand and also driving awareness of the fact that we exist. So PR and word of mouth have been very powerful for us. We've got kind of an evergreen Facebook strategy, but really that's just for testing messaging, and we don't really spend much money on there at all. And then we find that a lot of people discover us, through Instagram and social channels. But again, we aren't, we're not spending thousands and thousands every month on marketing led initiatives. I mean, if anything, that's kind of the house party. Is it's an opportunity to come together in a larger setting. It could be 50 or 75 women in a house where you get to experience a mini chat, have food, connect with one another. And that's like a really beautiful entry point before you become a member and then want to make chats a part of your weekly ritual, which is the intention with Quilts,
yeah.
is that we're coming together for these meaningful conversations more often, and connecting in a real way, and therefore feeling supported and a real sense of community, not something that just exists online.
Yeah, you know what? And I really love that the approach you're taking, because I find that actually there's a lot of companies that try to kind of scale. They scale
Mm,
really fast and they lose that really magical thing that kind of launched them in the
yeah,
first place. And so I love that not only are you kind of just like building it layer by layer with the different locations, but you are taking the time, like it's almost like the values of the actual company itself kind of are in how you market it, are kind of included in
yeah.
that.
Thank you for recognizing that. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the only way that we know how to do this, to keep the integrity of what we're creating, and to protect what we're creating, because the safety of it is really important as well. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And because I'm, there because I talk to a lot of artists and a lot of well, they're more focused on the impact that they're
Mm,
creating. Not to say that they don't want to make money in their business, but they're more impact driven than
mm,
anything. And when things feel kind of off or not aligned, they feel it right away,
totally.
whether it's somebody that they're looking at or how they're running their own kind of business. So I think that that's really encouraging to hear that you're doing it
Yeah,
this
thank
way.
you. We feel the same.
That's amazing. So, do you have any other, like, are there any other secret plans in the
Secret
future that you
plans.
can
I
share
mean,
with
world
me? No,
domination. No, I mean, this is we do feel like
no.
this is a global concept, because of the way that we've structured it to come together for these meaningful conversations. That we have investors who are originally from Pakistan, and this is something that we do want to carry through in other places. I think we want to ensure that it's working and running effectively and with integrity here first. But that's really what we're focused on. And like I said, with the mobile application, we're building out really interesting features and functionality all the time to ensure that our members have an opportunity and a place to connect in between them coming offline. So you'll be able to see a
Yeah.
couple of things coming in that direction very soon.
Amazing. Well, I love this. I'm going to go look at this a little bit more. Maybe I'll end up being a host at some point, but at first I'm just going to find one that I can actually something that I can actually
Yeah,
attend
come to something first.
when my yeah, I'm gonna come to something first, and maybe it won't be this week's house party, but maybe it'll be one soon,
Great. Well, we're
and
not
go
going
from there.
anywhere, so
But
we're here for you when you're ready.
that's amazing. And then for those listening that are in New York, and I know a fair number of New Yorkers who are always looking to build
Mm,
community, and actually we talk about this a lot. Actually, make sure to check out Quilt. Look at the
yeah.
mobile app or wearequilt.com. You
Yeah.
said. is the site. And when is that happening?
The house party in New York.
Yeah, do those just happen
Yeah,
every
they're
month?
every
Did you
month.
say? I'm
So
so sorry.
traditionally on
Every
Wednesdays,
month. Okay.
but the next one is next week, and then we'll do one in October, and it's going to be costume themed, and we're going to have silent disco, and it'll be super fun. So,
oh my gosh, silent disco is my favorite.
So good, right? So I hope to meet you.
It's happening all the time here.
So I hope to meet you in person soon, and just really appreciate you taking the time to have the conversation.
Yeah, thank you so very much. This was amazing, and I can't wait to share this with everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Right. All right, so if you're ready to check out Quilt, make sure to go to wearequilt.com. And I just went to that page and I was like, man, this is really a great description of it. If you're still like, well, what is this? Can I actually be part of this? If you want to learn how to become a host, to find out about events in your area, if you live in a metropolitan area at this point, but they are expanding. So keep an eye on this site. But Quilt is a leaderless community of women who gather to grow together through conversation. And right now, there's an IRL quilt chat happening out of women's homes near you. And you're welcome to attend. All you have to do is download that app, find a gathering that interests you, and join us. So I want to encourage you to go check this out and look for a gathering in your area. This is pretty amazing. If you want to learn more about the founders, Ashley and Gianna, make sure to also just scroll down and check out the show notes because we put all the links there to everything that we discussed. And you can always reach out to us and I will make sure to connect you with the founders. And if you have any questions, just go to wearequilt.com. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. It was really interesting. And I was just so inspired by this. Tell me a week where I'm not getting inspired. And so have a great one, and I will see you next week.